We are so pleased to have Beth Sobol join us. Please welcome Beth Sobol.
Thank you very much, Thank you. My goodness, thank you, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today, and I'd like to thank the Executive Committee, President Pierce, Dean Watson, Dean Rodriguez, and Sheila Walden, the Director of Fashion, the faculty, parents, and students for the invitation to speak to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale's graduating ceremony today. Thank you. This is truly a great honor for me to stand here before these young men and women who are fully armed and prepared to start their fashionable journeys into the vast world of the creative industries. Many years ago, my school hosted a career day, and I stopped by the desk of a modeling school. I registered and went through a 6-month program in 2 weeks. That was in 1974. So many years ago, when I began my career, I had no idea what to expect. But I knew one thing, that I was going to always look ahead and never look back. I began as a fashion model, working here locally in South Florida. And soon after, I found myself working 3 to 4 shows a day, 7 days a week. And within a couple of years, I was discovered by 2 designers from Paris who were here in Miami and Palm Beach. I was booked for their fashion shows. They both asked me to go back to Paris. I accepted, and I found myself in an airplane, thinking I'd be back in a few weeks. 20 years later, I finally came home. During my years of modeling, I was fortunate enough to work in 40 countries with every major designer in the world. I also lived in Paris, Florence, Geneva, Tokyo, Caracas, and New York City. When I decided to retire from modeling and move back to Florida, my old clients found out that I was home, and they asked me to start modeling again. I declined. I said I didn't want to model anymore. They said, well, why don't you produce our shows? So then I quickly realized that I had an entire database of clients to start a new business, and I launched Sobol Fashion Productions. That was in 1996. Sometime later, I was asked to produce a show that was for 2 days, a fashion event for live television in Guayaquil, Ecuador. The organizers had 21 designers from 12 Latin American countries. I spent 15 days with these guys. Everybody wanted to come back to Miami. Nobody knew how. 2 years later, I launched the first Miami Fashion Week and brought them all up. That was in 1999. My first special guest that year was Carolina Herrera, who asked me to form a council that would promote the international designers from Latin America as international and not folkloric. So I created the Council of International Fashion Designers, which is a nonprofit organization that began hosting seminars and workshops to help educate the designers on American business practices. So now when they came to Miami Fashion Week every year, they had their fittings, they had the rehearsals, and they had seminars. After nearly 20 years of successfully producing Miami Fashion Week and building that event into one of the largest and most respected fashion weeks in the world, with over 6 billion media impressions globally, earlier this year, I sold the brand. It was to a group of European investors who have now brought Antonio Banderas on as the honorary president of Miami Fashion Week. Yes, Antonio is going to fashion school. He's going to Central St. Martin's, and he will be launching a menswear collection next year. Miami Fashion Week was my baby, and I'm the founder of the event, and I'm very, very proud. But that was a lot of hard work and many tears over the years. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do now? So, with all of my connections and relationships that I had built over the years, I realized that my next mission was to further develop the Council of International Fashion Designers. And with that, I have created a global online business portal to continue working and educating the designers from around the world in their quest to launch into the American market. This portal will launch in January 2016 with some of the biggest and most respected fashion industry and business professionals in the United States as our advisors, consultants, and contributors that will provide the true and trusted information that these international designers need in order to successfully enter this market. The Council is a membership-based organization, and so far, remember it hasn't even launched yet, but so far I have pre-sold it to 15 countries throughout Latin America and the Caribbean, and am now working with an Arab fashion organization that represents 22 countries in the Middle East. And they all want to become members. Some of the schools around the world that used to send their students as interns and volunteers to Miami Fashion Week are now considering adding the council's program to their current curriculums to cover the business aspect of the fashion industry and complement the fashion design and merchandising programs they already offer. Next year, I will host Miami's first Fashion Summit, where I will bring all of our consultants and designers will gather in Miami for 4 days of seminars, interactive workshops, and master classes to personally meet and work together and take the online program to an offline experience. While developing the council, I have also started hosting my own international, internet-based radio show that speaks on issues regarding fashion, beauty, and wellness. My show airs in 148 countries. My next venture is to begin writing my books. I know I've got a few books in me, and I'm confident that one day my books will be made into a movie, but I haven't decided who's going to play me yet. You may be wondering, how is it possible that I've accomplished all of this by myself on such an international scale? But the answer is very simple. I love what I do. If you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life. You have chosen a world without boundaries, as your imaginations have no boundaries. Whether you're going into fashion design, merchandising, film, culinary arts, graphic design, interior design, any of the wonderful creative choices that you've had available to you at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, you have shown just how passionate that you are about the creative world around you and your decisions to make a difference in these worlds. Graduation is the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Your school has properly prepared you to move into the next chapter of your lives. But just because you now have a degree, it doesn't guarantee you a seat at the boardroom. You still have a very long and sometimes daunting road ahead of you. But that's why it's called a journey. I have certainly suffered my bumps and bruises along the way, and I have the battle scars to prove it. There were times when the first 10 people told me no, but this never stopped me from forging ahead and finding the way to fulfill my dreams, because I always felt that number 11 just might tell me yes. And I knew in my heart that eventually I would get to where I was going, and that was because I truly believed in myself. A little story that I can share with you from a few years ago from Fashion Week. We had several volunteers from another school signed up to help with the backstage activities of the event, and as you can imagine, it entails a multitude of tasks. However, this group of students informed me that they were only going to dress Oscar de la Renta. I thought, well, as the president of the organization, you could find me doing whatever it took to make that event happen, including picking up something off the floor, opening boxes, straightening chairs, anything that needed to be done, because this is the mindset of a true leader and a successful entrepreneur needs to have. Throughout my 20 years as the president of Miami Fashion Week, I personally was never above doing whatever it took to produce an event, because in the end, it was my name and my reputation that was on it. And beyond that, you're only as good as your last production. A designer is only as good as their last collection. An actor is only as good as his last movie. And the world can be very unforgiving. So the creative engine of society is up to us to keep the fire burning while we keep a steady head and level of concentration in moving forward in doing whatever it takes to successfully complete the task. And those volunteers who wanted to dress Oscar, they were never invited back to help us again. And ultimately, they're the ones who lost an opportunity for some really true hands-on experience right here in their own backyard. Your career path is not a straight line, so look around you for the opportunities. Dreams don't come true just because you dream it. It comes true with a lot of hard and consistent work. You are all on the thresholds of real life, so embrace the importance of imagination. Don't pretend to be anything than what you are. Some failure is inevitable, but it's how you work through the failure that truly defines you. Be secure in your ability to survive. and value your imagination and your inner power to guide you forward. Your future truly depends on you. I congratulate you all for your dedication to this industry and the fire that I know is inside of you who are ready to get out into this fascinating world and make your creative mark just like I did. You never know who could be around the next corner. So take a chance, take a risk, and remember to always look forward, never look back. Thank you. Good luck to you all. Thank you. Good luck.